This is my fun. This is my self-care. So, Von Mychael, thank you so much for joining me, your weird new stalker.
Thank you for having me on.
Don't be silly. I have so many thoughts. Big thing is, if you could rewind to a year ago today, did you think we would have murder hornets? And
I didn't even know that was still a thing. I thought that was...
I don't know. I just really like making the murder hornet joke. Murder hornets. We have a lot of sharks in Long Island right now, but we've always had a lot of sharks.
Mm.
So we just didn't notice it. What else do we have? Murder hornets. North Carolina last week had a hurricane, tornado, and earthquake.
Oh, wow. They're going through it.
Yeah.
And coronavirus.
We're not fucking around now. I think, so I'm a Jew, so I don't quite understand this, but I think it's what I imagine the rapture was like, or should be like, where like all the people disappear, and then I guess I'm left behind. I don't know. How are you doing? How are you holding up? How are you handling this?
I'm great. I'm honestly probably, I know for a lot of people this is tough times, but the quarantine has been like the best time for me. And
really?
Yeah, I hate, not that.
I'm just going to have to show you this for a second. I mean, I realize my timing is inappropriate and whatnot, but like, you don't have kids, do you?
No, I don't have kids. It's been amazing. It's been, because I tour like majority of the time. So this has been downtime, time for me to reflect, time for me to like get organized, time like I'm on a break right now. And so I'm enjoying.
I don't like you anymore. I'm like looking for a cigarette to smoke as I like get pissed off and do that angry, like, angry Karen smoking, whatever. So you're on a break.
Right.
Okay, I'm jealous, but question, do you get more material during pandemic or less?
If you want to be honest with you, I'm
No.
I'm going through like a self-therapy. So like I'm kind of like just like reflecting on parts of my life to go through like for my next album. So it's like I'm not even getting material really based off the quarantine of coronavirus, because one of my things is I try to be different than other comedians, and I know once we get back, that's going to be like, that's like saying a Donald Trump joke.
So many, and every time it's like, is this real life or fiction? But I agree.
So, and this is, I've just been it's been therapeutic. It's been amazing. And I have to be careful with saying that, because over 100,000 people died during this quarantine. So I'm not saying that the pandemic is great. I'm saying that the quarantine itself has been great for me.
You know what I like? I like that you feel you have to mince your words, because like we don't want to minimize anything. There are people that are unemployed. There are people that are dying. There are people that are sick. I like that you feel like you have to mince your words. I am over mincing my words. Not in a weird bad way. Not in a weird bad way, just as in a oh my God, I ran out of fucks so long ago. I ran out of fucks. I thought I was out of fucks when I turned 40, and I suddenly was like, okay, my boobs aren't nice anymore, and my ass is kind of droopy, but I am smart, and suddenly that's a thing that people like. But really, heartbreak of my book. Also, homeschooling 2 children, and my daughter's teacher who gave a 3rd grade, okay, this isn't going to make sense to you because you don't have kids, but essentially one of her assignments was, it was a science assignment, circle the things that make noise and those that don't, and she's in 3rd grade. Never mind if she was 2, it was like a sweater and drums.
Yeah.
I feel for teachers, but this bitch was phoning it in. And now we're gearing up to do it again. So I like your self-reflection. I think I'm jealous of it though.
It's because it's one of them
You're
things
like, I don't know what to say to this crazy bitch who cornered me into this interview.
Nah, I'm trying to. I guess what I'm trying to do. It's one of them things where I realize that, you know, how addictive you can be to being busy, especially for me. Like I was avoiding emotions and things like I didn't realize I had to deal with until now, and like it was kind of eye opening. Like it's one of them things. Like even when the world reopens, I'm like, okay, I gotta have time for myself. I gotta it's making me realize more me time, more self time. Being at home is okay. Like you don't always have to be out and just be busy. It's almost like an addiction. It's almost like doing drugs or alcohol, and I didn't realize that. And that's just something I'm, you know, overcoming now.
I know that you're sober. I don't know if that was an addictive decision or a health decision.
You said,
both.
What was the first one?
I said, I know that you're sober because you said it sometime.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't know if that was a, like an addictive decision or a health decision.
Both.
Fine. You look awesome. So congrats. But it sounds like your growth during this time was huge. You should see a shrink because we need to make some money. Not because you need it, just because I'd like to make some money.
I talked to my therapist today.
Oh, did you? Okay, cool. I didn't want to ask. I didn't want to pry. I agree with you. I have gone the opposite of you. I have gone full fucking throttle. 5:30 in the morning wake up, 2-hour workouts. I just got accepted to do my 200-hour yoga teacher training, which I've been talking about for 10 years. Mm-hmm. The only problem for me is at the end of yoga, you have to lie down and relax. And I have actually snuck over to the computer and turned it off during the virtual one so I can get up and go do shit. And I don't think I can do that training to be a teacher. I may never do anything with it, but it's a bucket list. So you've slowed down and I have sped up. And you're right. It's just so I stop thinking.
Yeah. Let me say this. I still am working. Like even I'm slowing down.
Oh, yeah. Say what you. Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna say it for you because one of the things I did as I was stalking the shit out of you today is like you hustle like no other. Like you have a podcast, correct?
Right.
The name of your podcast is The Last Word.
What's the lesson?
Sorry, I can fuck up once in a while. I have children. I've been drinking since noon. Just kidding. I you know this. I just stopped.
You sure you're not a comedian?
I'm not a comedian. I'm just a frustrated, snarky, smart woman. Who has a podcast where I talk about shit we're not supposed to talk about. Like isms. And when I teach these classes to kids, I sneak in racism and sexism all the time. I'm like, you know what that is? That's an ism. They will fire me when someone's parents actually listen to a recording. But so far, I've only sworn 3 times. Once was when a tree fell on my house in the middle of a class, and my kids went in. They're like, "We need you." I was like, "No, I'm teaching." A tree fell on our house. I was like, "Shit, I'll be right back." That was a bad one. And the other one was when one of my kids left the stove on. And the third one, I think it just slipped out, and then I oopsed it, and they moved on. But yeah, you're right. Keeping busy is an addiction, and dealing with our feelings is something that's really tough to do.
Yeah, like that's because I'm really just learning how to understand what an emotion is. I didn't even know what an emotion was. People be asking me what I'm going through. I just be reading off fortune cookies, scripts. I can't even describe the emotion sometimes. I just know I'm feeling something.
Okay. Can I ask I feel my shrink hat just turned on. Your dad, that was it. You have a great bit about your dad, and now like when in danger, he pretends to be your Uber driver. which is funny. Although I think you should kill the Uber driver anyway, just as a witness. No offense to Uber drivers, but like, mom?
Yeah. My mom's dope. My mom and dad, they still together. I talked to my mom today. What was your question about my mom?
I wanted to know if you had a mom. Well, I mean, technically, biologically, you had a mom, but I was curious. It was an open-ended question, like a shrink would do. But I was curious because
it felt like it. I was like, hold on, I'm explaining
something. I'm
sorry. Either shrink or an X. An X would do that to you too, to get you to
Okay. My husband's a shrink and a lawyer, and we started dating. Our first date was September 9th, 2001. And then the next time I saw him was the next day of class, which was the September 11th. And we were inseparable ever since. The only problem is when you get into fights and you're both shrinks, it's all about your moms. So, but no, I was curious about your mom because I wasn't aware. Also, congrats, your parents are still together. Mine are too. I don't think mine should be, but we fall into such a minor category these days. Yeah,
that is very true. The America in general, it seems like everybody's getting divorced. I wonder sometimes, like, I'll be wondering, like, if I'm going to get married, like, if that's even going to be a thing nowadays. It feels like
it's already a thing. But wait, but now we have, like, polygamy and polyamory, so you've got options. Can I ask how old you are?
How old am I now? I am 28.
Go away. Okay. You're 28. That's fine. You've got time. Still a fetus. Let me get over my jealousy. So for the podcast and also for my other desperate attempts at attention during pandemic, we are on day 148, in case you were wondering. If we were in my office, I have like a prison type tally going on my wall. It's not on my wall, it's on paper, but we moved into a new house. My husband wouldn't let me write on the wall. But divorce is ridiculously common, as you know, but it's also dependent on the more money a man has, the less likely a woman is to divorce him. Smart, because of prenup. It's dependent on a woman's education, and if a woman makes more money, she's less likely to get married.
Right.
Because men won't marry her. So I'm just saying we're all fucked up.
I think it's a society thing.
I do too, but my point is, like, the fact that you come from parents who are still together and presumably have not attempted to kill each other yet is a good thing.
Yeah, it makes you realize how much it's work to be with somebody else, and I think a lot of times in this world, everybody is just kind of everybody's going after something. I really feel like a lot of people are going to try to fill a void, and in a weird way that I think maybe it's eventually, because things go in phases. I think it's going to get back to a point that being married is going to be normal, but it's like a generation thing where it's like, oh, I want to be great. I want celebrity. I want, money. And because once you start to realize certain things aren't going to fill you, like, it's weird. Like, when you go back to, like, in the old days, like, if you really read stuff, a lot of the stuff.
How old are we talking about? Like, what?
I'm talking about, like, the Bible, and just, like, certain principles. Those things really apply to life. And and we try to get so far away from it that I think that's where we at right now in this whole society. We're trying to. We were forced heavily, to be into Christianity. You're not a Christian, you're gonna get, scarlet A or get killed or whatever. And then now we're at the point, like, we don't want to be like that society. Let's be free. Everybody's free. But I think we're going too far this way, and we got to find that space right in the middle.
I do too, but I also think it depends how we define that space. and how far back we let the pendulum swing. I have friends that are polyamorous. I have patients that are, and it's interesting hearing them.
Hold on. Can you give the definition of that so I make sure I understand?
Yes, of course. It's to be in more than one romantic, i.e. sexual, I don't know why I didn't just say sexual, relationship, because I've been teaching children for 4 hours. More than one sexual relationship. There's a primary relationship, and then there can be secondary relationships, and they make a point to define what their expectations are for their partner, like what they're willing to give. It's interesting, but it's also, I got married when I was your age. I got married at 28. I'm 43 now. My husband was 5 years older than me. And my big joke is like, when he told me that there was a right way and a wrong way to fold his socks, I just was like, okay, you know, I guess I'm dumb, you know. I didn't really think I was dumb. But the idea being like, if I entered into a relationship now, well, I don't do the laundry. I stopped doing the laundry. So now it's his problem. Fold the socks any way you want. But like when if I were to enter into a relationship with now, I would know what emotional and sexual and intellectual needs I needed to be filled by each different partner. It's kind of like a buffet in Vegas. And who doesn't eventually get sick from a buffet in Vegas? So it's not for me. I respect those people who try to do it and do it successfully. And also there is a certain self-awareness that I hear speaking from some people, but I often have that, are we swinging too far to the other side?
Yeah. That's interesting. Like, I don't know. I hear people that say they go through that. I don't know. It just.
So it's basically cheating, but it's not cheating. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. You get to stick your penis wherever you want, and it's not cheating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know.
It's not weird for me. I am a jealous bitch. It's not for me. But I also understand that, like, the idea that one person will fulfill all your needs and complete you is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And poetic, and
I wonder if it's just being lazy though. Like I really feel like this generation, a lot of people are lazy. And
you are this generation. You're technically a millennial, aren't you?
I am this generation, but I don't see myself.
No. You're not lazy. You hustle. You say you're relaxed. I see every day you're doing something or posting something or interviewing something. Even today, like
Right.
You've got someone before me and after me, and I respect the shit out of that because, I try to do that too. And then there are these things that want my attention, like people, and it's annoying. But you hustle your ass off. You're not lazy.
Yeah, but I mean, I've like, so like when I mean by lazy, it's just like nobody wants to put a lot. I come from different. That's my background. You know, my dad was.
What's your background?
My dad was military. He played football. He went to a military school, so he taught me, you know, football. You want something, you got to work every day. Work out.
What position did he play?
He was like a fullback and like a defensive lineman.
I don't know those. They're not in fantasy football.
So a fullback is he's the blocker.
I kind of know. I know. Okay. I know the defensive men, sort of. I just have a thing for wide receivers, so I
got you.
There's nothing as beautiful as that. I'm sorry, I'm a dork. Okay, go on.
So like I had that, and like looking at life now, looking at my friends, or like the people that I just went to school with, they didn't have necessarily parents like that. I grew up in a generation where it was just like cell phones started to come, you know, computers were like advancing, and you know that's when smartphones really became popular. But my pops was like very old school and was just like work. So I got that from him. And, you know, I come from a household, 2-parent household. I see that, and I see the stuff you got to go through. So I understand that, like, marriage and stuff, it's work. Like, it's not, I think this generation doesn't want to really work at things. It's more of like what's convenient for me. We the microwave generation.
I strongly believe that marriage, and particularly love, is a decision we have to make every fucking day, because not every day is easy. It is I'm sorry. Also, you mentioned the Bible before. Is my swearing bad?
No.
Okay, because I have a potty mouth like no other. To the point where my 9-year-old turned to me the other day. She goes, "Do I know every bad word?" And I was like, "Fortunately, not yet." Because I reserve like the C and the T and the whatever for, perfect timing. Where did you grow up?
Richmond, Virginia. I grew up Richmond, Virginia. Then we moved out to the suburbs of Richmond when I got into middle school.
So, when you said school, you were talking about like, did you go to college?
I went to some community college. I haven't finished yet. I'm actually about to go back to it now during this pandemic.
That's why I'm doing the yoga thing, but I'm like 2 credits short of a postdoc training, which will cost me more than it will make me, and so screw that. But as we said, I'm familiar with Richmond. I lived in, I went to Georgetown, and then I lived on campus like every other Georgetown asshole. But I wasn't a Republican, but I dated them to corrupt them, and I did a good job. And then I was in Arlington for a while. And then I was in Maryland working for the NIH, doing research in child and family development. I had no fucking clue. I just lucked out with it. But I love the DC area. I think I always imagined moving back there. Now I'm in a suburb of Long Island where our neighborhood Facebook group, literally every 3 to 6 months, someone posts something. It says, "You guys, don't forget to lock the doors on your car. Someone broke into my car last night and stole my blank." And I feel like if you can't lock your car door, it's free. Like, it's a free invitation. And I grew up a spoiled brat, and I still think, that's not true. I worked, like, I've had a job since I was 15. I've worked at every retail and/or fast food joint you can think of, but you lock your fucking door. Right. And these are adults that can't remember to do this, which is sad. So tell me, so in some ways, suburbs, Richmond, 2 married parents, scary black man. Not scary, just kidding. I told you look scary. Whatever. I told you that you were sweaty before. It was a joke.
All jokes the same truth.
But yeah, because we're all living under stereotypes. When I reached out to you, I wanted to find some way to be like, I'm not a dick. Like, I didn't think to say I'm not a Karen, because I'm not that quick. But I also feel like you would know if I were within like 5 minutes, and it would just be awkward. But you have a bit that you did a while ago. I can look it up on my phone. I screenshotted all the shit I wanted to talk to you about Ronald Reagan being racist, or
oh yeah.
Can you if you what the shit out of you. You know why? Because I know, but if I'm asking you for your time, you deserve my respect. And I don't want to be like, so tell me about yourself. That's not right. This is your time. This is your job. That's not respectful. And I did go back. Sometimes I went back to specific, "Hello, child. Would you like to come in?" This is my friend Mychael. He's a comedian. He gets paid to make people laugh. Yeah. This is Hunter. I call him 11.
What's up, Hunter?
Hi.
During the pandemic, we got into a 20-minute argument about how old he actually was. How old did you think you were?
I thought I was 12.
Can you explain why?
Because I've been in the pandemic for so long.
What year were you born?
I don't know. Oh, yeah, 2008.
And that was his math. Thank you, 7th grade learning. You can eat your food, and then when I'm done with this, we'll go swim. So cool. Okay, love you.
Love you.
That's 11, not 12. Okay, it was August 2nd, 2019, way back. You said, I'm not mad, Ronald Reagan made racist comments. I agree in a way, like she's dead now, but like my 94-year-old grandma didn't know the right words to use. Nana, it was Nana. She was like the closest thing I ever had to a mother figure. Fantastic. If you said that now, I think you'd have a different response because maybe you wouldn't. Maybe that's your place, ability, whatever. But like right now, I feel like we're also fucking terrified. Whether it be to be harmed, and rightfully so, or to offend and not rightfully so, because we should have been learning about this shit. If not 400 years ago, I'll give myself 40 years. Like when I was 3, someone should have pointed this out, but no one did. But I was really struck by that because there's some sort of an understanding of like, I don't know if you feel that way now, but there's some sort of an understanding that like we can't change the old people because
I wouldn't say we couldn't change them. I'm just not surprised. I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either. I mean, I'm not surprised either, but right now all we have is old white people running, so that's different. So, but I'm not surprised either. And it wasn't an acceptance, I should say, like your whole bit was good. It wasn't an acceptance of it. It was like, why should this be a surprise? And also, you didn't say this, but I'll say this. If it is a surprise, you're an asshole because you haven't been paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that video. I mean, for me, I feel like because I had the, I grew up, I went to all black elementary school, middle school, and then I went to all white high school. And that, and it was like in the South, this I'll tell you, you'll understand what kind of school I went to. I took a Civil War class, and the teacher at the beginning of the class asked the whole class, I'm the only black dude in there. And he asked the whole class, all right, guys, are y'all rooting for the North and the South? He said, who's rooting for the South? Every white person in there raised their hand. And I looked around, I'm like, I'm sorry, I got to go for the ones that's going to free me. So I'm going for the North. And that, at that age, it just taught me that, like, even now, like, I got some people I went to high school with, it's just taught, it's passed down, just like mental health, That's how I understand it. Like, things my dad, my mom, your belief system is just passed down to you. And that's why
I agree. I agree 100%. Seriously, is this 9? Are you at my door now? Lex? Are you knocking on my door? Liar. No one else is knocking on my door. Go eat your food. I'm doing an interview. If you want to come in and meet Mychael, he's cool. You can. Otherwise, go eat your food. That's why I can't stop drinking. Yeah. Not to distract from this serious topic. It's interesting. I grew up in Florida. I apologize profusely. In my defense, it was South Florida, which is less North Florida. But I'm also Jewish, and when I spent my first year at Gainesville, then transferred to Georgetown, and a Jew was a thing to be like, what's that? And now, I've always died.
Yeah. I just want to say that I was the same way. Growing up in Richmond, moving to DC, I've never met a Jewish person or I'm not saying I never met, but there was no one that ever said they were Jewish. And then I got to DC, and I just met so many people that would say, yeah, I'm Jewish. Like, that was a culture shock. So I don't think some people understand that certain parts of the country, like, there aren't Jewish people there.
No, agreed. And I don't fault, no one was rude to me. Like, Gainesville, I remember, it was a white girl from a very small town who was a cheerleader who was having sex with a Gainesville football player that gave her a UTI very quickly after school started. And then there was an African-American girl. I want to say African-American because I'm white, and I'm still torn about whether I should say African-American or black, and I think it differs. And I didn't know her long enough to have any idea what her heritage is. Nonetheless, we should fill out like a more melatonin something to make me feel less of an asshole. But regardless, she was curious because she had never, I don't know if she'd never heard of it, but she had never met it. Small town, Florida. Remember, these are the assholes that pick up alligators. So like, this isn't a racial issue. This is an intelligence issue. That's my cat. That's Skywalker. We let our kids name the cats. There's another one that looks like him, but it's a girl. Skywalker is actually non-binary. I should interrupt and tell you that. We don't know the pronoun, so we go by pronoun unknown because Skywalker had major like stones in their urethra, and so they had to literally cut off the penis and make it into a vagina. That's the most interesting thing about me.
Wow.
I know. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, like, is that the first non-binary cat?
I don't know, but like during pandemic, I had to take the sister in. It's their sister in, and I was talking to the receptionist who I love, and she loves me, and she's fantastic. And there was a new one, and I was like, yeah, gender unknown, like pronoun unknown, and it's literally PU stands for something, like the procedure, and so it's a family practice, and so I know the I guess it's the son who's my age, and our kids are the same age. They're my neighbors, and then I know the uncle and the grandfather, and the uncle and the grandfather of the kids, and they all worked out, and I was like, tell the receptionist you can do a sex change on a cat. I feel like I got totally distracted by that cat. But the curiosity at Gainesville in Florida, in northern Florida, which is essentially as deep south as you can go besides being in the movie Jeepers Creepers, was much different than when I went to Georgetown, where these are supposed to be, you know, the elite upper crust. I don't know how and one of the required classes is called The Problem of God, and they mentioned Eucharist. Yes, Eucharist, the wafer that's like the body and blood of Christ. And when I raised my hand and asked what it was, my asshole pothead teacher goes, I guess you don't go to church that much. I was like, no, I don't.
He shamed you.
Kind of. No, he did. I was 19. I wasn't smart enough to be like, actually, I'm a Jew, you asshole, but whatever. Okay, we're on the topic of race. What was it like going to a mostly white school after, you know, like going from majority to minority? I mean, you're a black man. This is your life. It could only be worse if you were actually a Hispanic woman. You know how much they make? 59% of what a white man makes. I know African-American women have it better. 63, not much better, but better.
What am I about to say? It was a culture shock. It was different. I felt myself. I think I lost some self-esteem going there because it was initially trying to fit in to a different culture and trying to be accepted. Looking back at things, there was a lot of racism going on. You know, there were certain
Of course
people.
there was, yeah.
But when I was that young, I was naive to it. You know, I'm just thinking the whole world, everybody loves you. You know, and like
That's
I
a
tell you
sign
this,
of,
but
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
that's a sign of good parenting. You
Yeah,
had good parents to make you feel that way. I get the like holy shit moment, but parents should make their kids feel that everyone loves them. So
yeah, and like, cause like even my parents, they moved to the neighborhood with the understanding. This is the thing, like I say in the Black community, you have this idea that just because you move to a white community, it's just gonna be so much better. But what I learned is there's different type of white people. And the type of white people I moved into the neighborhood was there were some people that had Confederate flags. So that's different than going to Georgetown. And so that was like a lesson learned, you know, that I grew up with. But it exposed me to things. It was great because I got to be around white people. So there's not this fear, or I never feel like I got to change my voice, or you know, I could just be myself. Which I noticed that like with some Black people, they get around white people, this like they start talking differently. I'm like, bro, why are you talking like this? They're like, what do you mean? And like they don't even know that they're doing it. I'm just like, yo, just talk like you talk. And so I'm glad that it did that for me, and I think it helped my career because you know I do predominantly white crowds. So
I noticed that. I was curious about the people wearing that. Was it a Disney T-shirt, like with a gun or whatever? That's like princess T-shirt. Was that a white? I don't actually care.
That was straight, and that was in the hood. Hello Kitty T-shirts.
Hello Kitty, thank you. I actually don't care. I'm actually upset that they were wearing Hello Kitty regardless. And to be clear, it's interesting. Georgetown opened my eyes to a lot of cultures I wasn't familiar with, like Southeast Asian. There was a Southeast Asian society. I still don't know where the fuck Southeast Asia is on a map. I can read, I can find it. But I don't think for a minute that any sort of cultural education has come from Georgetown. It's come from after. It's also come from working with different races in therapy and asking uncomfortable questions. And I used to have a co-host on this podcast, and she was a nutritionist, and this started as a whim. We whipped out our phone, we pressed record on Anchor, and like that was it. We had horrible sound. We were fortunate enough to meet this woman named Gina Warner, who has an amazing like dating podcast, and she was also on one of these cooking channel challenges. And so she was like, you guys, I had so much fun. Have you heard of sound editing? And we were like, oh, a microphone. Okay. But really, I think I've learned more. The best thing I've gotten out of being a therapist is learning from my patients. And like, yes, some people do have one voice, like one voice for when you're one of their people, and one voice when you're one of when you're their therapist. And it's kind of cool to me when stuff overlaps and they say things that like I know they would only say in their community, and they're saying it to me, but because they trust me. I'm largely talking about the use of the N-word, and not in a derogatory way, but in that casual way that, by the way, I agree white people should never use. I saw that part too, where your friend was singing a song. See? Yeah. I stalked the shit out of you. But I also, having children, a few years ago, we were watching World of Dance, and there was probably the darkest skinned boy I've ever seen, who had been adopted by the lightest skinned white people I have ever seen. And he spoke about when someone used that word against him. And I happened to choose that moment to go into the bathroom. And I came out, and my kids looked at me and they go, what's the N-word? And I was like, okay, pause. They don't remember this, but when my son was younger, there was a child with the last name Nagar. And one day at camp, there was a huge confusion Yeah. And the counselor that called him this was Black, and we are not a predominantly Black community. We are a predominantly white Jew and Orthodox and like clearly uber entitled if we don't have to lock our fucking cars. But I was like, how do I handle this properly and adultly and like raise good kids? And so apparently that camp thing had been forgotten. Fine. And no one wanted to complain because there was nothing to complain about because this kid's last name sucks. But I sat them down and I explained this to them. And so then as we continue watching World of Dance or whatever dance show it was, my kids were afraid to describe people. Like, that one in the red dress. I'm like, there's one girl in the red. Like, don't be an asshole, but don't also be a racist. You know, it's and that's what I meant before about mincing words. Like, I don't know. When my podcast co-host left, one of the first interviews I did, it was talking to a mom who had kids younger than me, but she was African-American / Black. And the first thing I did was ask her, what the fuck am I supposed to say so I'm not an asshole? And it was 16 months ago by now. It was eye-opening. It was brilliant. No one has the answer because you can't speak for everyone. Like, you know, I am rotund. Do you call me fat or chubby or who the fuck knows? Why am I supposed to speak for everyone? And the same thing goes. And yes, I worry that we have become too close to shutting good people down right now, which is why we need comedy. But we also need comics to go to therapy because you're all as fucked up as the rest of us.
Oh, of course. That's what I'm in there. Look.
I know. I love that you're in therapy. You won my heart when you said that.
I'm in therapy just to work on my album. I know I can get to deeper emotions, so I know there's gonna be a great special. So that's my motivation to go to therapy for real.
Do you want to hear a great story?
Sure.
Rodney Dangerfield, who I don't find funny because, I mean, may he, or whatever, may he rest in peace. Not my hero, not my anything, but I happen to know through the therapeutic grapevine that at some point his analyst, which means 3 times a week therapy or more, said to him, have you ever thought that maybe this just isn't for you?
Oh, wow.
He left the analyst and became Rodney Dangerfield. You know, like, therapy is fantastic. Going with your gut is fantastic. I admire you. Okay, I admire you because you're funny, but I also admire you because Black males are the least likely to seek out help, and therefore, it's going to get dark, therefore the most likely to successfully suicide.
Yeah, that's why I was literally talking to my therapist about that. Well, we're getting deep now. Because that's one of my fears. One of my fears was like I'm explaining to my therapist like everything going on. I'm like, she's like, you sound great. I'm like, yeah, but do you understand? Like, this doesn't feel normal. Like, you know, I got a friend. Like when I was going through stuff, one of my friends told me, he was like, yeah, just smoke a little bit of weed, you know, to get off. And I'm like, that's part of the culture. Like, listen to hip hop. You know, hip hop, drugs, alcohol, all mainstream hip hop, drugs, and alcohol, sex. And
I'm not against weed, but I'm the person who for 6 months has been planning about once, you know. But you're right, it's a culture and it's a way of dealing. And what did your therapist say?
Pretty much you're in unknown territory. Like that's the good thing. That means you're progressing, you're moving forward. So
how did you choose your therapist or find him or her?
She was a Black woman. I just saw she was a Black woman. I was like, all right, let me pick her because I know women generally are better with emotions. They usually deal with emotions a lot sooner than men. So I was like, all right, let me seek out somebody who can deal with it.
It depends on, not the woman. That's not what I'm thinking. It depends on the emotion. I like the fact that you went to a Black female therapist. I don't think you would have lasted long with a white female therapist, especially given the events of the last, I'm sorry, has this been years or months or weeks? 148 days, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that it also says something about your relationship with your mom. Your dad's a great Uber driver though, and I love that. Okay, I have one more question, and it sort of is, don't worry, we got 3 more minutes.
Okay, I was like, I didn't even look. I was like, all right, go ahead.
Liar, you're bored. You're like, why is this Karen asking me all this shit?
No, I thought we were gonna. Oh, we got time.
I have time. I've currently sent my kids to eat, and then I can tell them they need to digest for like as long as I want, because they're 9 and 11. He can't remember how old he is, so I can tell him it's 6 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter. He's actually very smart, but
we got 10 minutes. Yeah,
I'm good. So now I have forgotten my fucking question. Way to go. I wanted to ask you, what gave you the courage to go to therapy?
What gave me courage to go to therapy?
And you can, by the way, I do not edit. You can refuse to answer. I do not edit, not out of principle, but because I'm dumb and cheap.
No worries. Jay-Z, in my mind, right? So I look at myself as a star, and I am a star. I'm a star, and
can I disagree? Like, as your stalker, I agree.
Thank you. So what I was like, I want to progress, right? I want to elevate. I want to have a long-term career. I don't want to go down the road of rock star lifestyle, like drugs, alcohol, overdose. Like I see certain people. I had a point. So we're gonna take you back. I'm gonna take you back to I had a mental breakdown in like February on my birthday.
I'm smiling, and I feel like you should have warned me not to smile during that. But I understand.
Mental breakdowns are good. When you have a mental breakdown, that means a breakthrough about to happen. And so it was a point I was having like panic attacks for like almost a week or 2 straight, and like just fears were building up, and like it got to a point I could see certain people, and I'd be like, if I keep going this route, I'm gonna end up like that. And it was like I could see the future. My dad told me it's called maturing, and I was like, all right, I need to really start changing. And I went through this, the quarantine hit. That helped me do some self-therapy. I'm sitting there going through stuff, and I'm like, I really just want to get my stuff. I don't want to be, and you're not supposed to compare yourself to others.
Yes, you are. Who the fuck told you that?
It's not
we
good to
all
compare.
No. If we don't compare ourselves to others, we're like one tree in a forest that falls. Does anyone hear it? Like,
yeah, but it can also lower your self-esteem when you start comparing yourself to others, and you be like, oh, I'm not as good as that person. And then you start feeling like,
you're not old enough to have met a dumb housewife where you're like, that motherfucker is dumb as shit. My favorite is the one who said, why do we need to give Muslims off for Eid? We already give people off for St. Patrick's Day. And I was like, holy fucking, and that was it. We don't give off for St. Patrick's Day, and Muslims should get off from Eid, but go on. Sorry.
No way. So, as I'm going through this quarantine, I'm like, look, I want to have a long-lasting career. There's some things that I want to get through, like, there's some serious fears that I can feel like this been going on for my whole life. I'm like, yo, I want to get over this. But the crazy part is, right, this is my second time being with a therapist today. And as we're talking, she was like,
2 sessions?
Yeah, and she told me literally, she was like, it sounds like you're solving everything on your own by yourself. She was like, I'm expecting this to be over and 2 to 3 more sessions. I'm literally going through a self-therapy myself.
I think you are brilliant, but I do not think anyone can cure themselves in 4 sessions.
No, but I've been doing the self-therapy since March.
Agreed. There is an amazing book called Unlearn. I do not like self-help books. I wrote a self-help book. I've never read one. I will burn sage because they say that it makes ghosts angry, and I want to see angry ghosts. I will never do a vision board. I will never read The Secret. You should read Unlearn. It's very good. But go on. So
Is
your
that like a
therapist
belief
says
system?
you're like a, yeah.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Is that this Unlearn? Is that like by your belief systems or something?
I literally just bought it. I love it. And there is a yoga teacher that I really like, and he started reading passages, parables, whatever we call it, in a self-help book. And the other day I was late signing in, and he's like, "Oh, Lindsay, it's chapter 75." And I was like, "No worries. I bought the whole thing. I'm going to read it." So it's amazing. I don't want to say it's life-changing because only you can change your life. But go on. So your therapist is
Yeah,
a miracle worker, or you're a genius. Go on. Yeah.
because I was telling her like, because I started understanding like in the world I am in, like if I want to be at the level I want to be at, I got to overcome my fears. And like I don't know, something inside me told me like I just got to do certain things. Like I have a fear of rats and like mice, right? And it's been
That's
a fear.
a good fear. Those are vermin. Okay, go on.
But no, I moved to a whole different state because I saw one in my house.
Oh, I did hear that. But you moved to New York, motherfucker. Why?
Which is like the
We have
training
pizza
ground.
rats. We have rats the size of pizza. Yeah, I know.
Right. So, no, what I started doing was on my own is I went to Petco and like just started looking at the rats and looking at the mice and like that's going there every day just to look at it. Eventually, I'm gonna get a pet mice and just have one. And I'm afraid of bridges and stuff. I'm gonna start running across the bridge and just attacking those fears. And I was like, I just didn't want to get crippled by my fears. And I understand, like I'm at the point I'm at 28 now. I'm like, I see certain people. I don't ever want to live life with regret. And when I look at it like that, I'm like, whoa, like let me live in the moment. Let me take full advantage of this. I'm in a good place. Like I'm torn. I'm working. Like I'm pandemic right now, but like I opened up for a big time headliner. I'm getting club work. I'm making money.
You are hustling the shit out of it. I know.
So let me take advantage of this and not, slip into. Let me learn from the people in the future, so that I can learn from them, so that I don't make the same mistakes. So I was like,
so the rat thing, it's called systematic desensitization. It is how we deal with phobias. You're doing it perfectly. The idea is to like see it from afar and then closer and then closer and then get comfortable with it. So that is brilliant. I agree with your shrink, sadly. You discovered it on your own. Bridges, I agree. I also think that a lot of anxiety tends to come from either an unsafe home environment, which it doesn't sound like you had, or modeled behavior. So
yep, that's
who's
another
afraid
thing I
of
learned.
bridges?
Well, I'll say that as I'm going through the self-therapy, I was starting relating stuff back to my parents. I was like, oh, I learned this from them. I learned this from that, like the wearing's the thing of mine. I was like, I got that from my dad. And like, as I'm just sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, whoa, you say yoga. So I've been meditating and that's really been helping out.
I can't do that. No, yeah.
Now I changing my belief system, understanding that, just because my parents were that way doesn't mean that's how I gotta be. And just all the fears that I had as a child, overcome them, that will build up the confidence, the self-esteem, so that I can overcome the other fears that I'm dealing with now.
We have to stop soon because you're a busy man. I find you amazing. I find you funny. I find you insightful. I'm not hitting on you because I'm so fucking old. But Like, I love your message. I love that you're still working, but you're doing it in a healthy way. You've been on a health kick. You stopped drinking. You have done everything that the rest of us should have done. I did not. In fact, what I did was when all those not snotty, when all my friends started sending out pictures of like homemade dinners that were like uber gourmet. I photoshopped it, switched the angle, and added meatballs, and was like, "Look what I did." Whereas you're doing the real deal, and so it's really impressive. And I can't wait to see where your career goes next. I hope we stay in touch, and I can't wait to see where you go more. And as we start opening up, albeit briefly, in my opinion. I hope you take advantage of these opportunities to bring your humor to, live audiences, because I know that interaction is so important to comedians.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna tell you. You say you're going to yoga teacher.
After 10 years of thinking about it, I finally pulled the trigger, convinced my husband to convince me. That's the power of the woman. And so in September, I'm starting my teacher training, 200 hours, so I can technically teach. I didn't intend on actually teaching. I just wanted to learn more and I guess be more present in the moment and like work on all the shit I need to work on. But now that I'm thinking about it, it might be fun if I could help other people incorporate all of that stuff. This has been this is my bucket list. I only have like 3 things. Published book, technically done. Tried surfing, did it, hurt my back, and the yoga teacher training. So I'm really scared and excited.
I look forward to. I would definitely love if you start doing classes to check it out, because I want to do yoga. So I'll be on the lookout. I'll follow you. So if you post about it, I'll definitely check it out.
Well, I'm following you, and now you have to follow me because you have to pretend we're friends so you can promote. I'm just kidding. I really do wish you the best of luck, and thank you so much for your time.
No doubt. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, continue on that yoga journey. I'm looking forward to it.